Norwood, you could go.
All right, we're going to start with the agenda. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Norwood Primetime Norwood District Preschool Rollout webinar. Thank you, Johanna, for the nice welcome and introduction. Next, we will be going over our learning objectives, and that is the planning, time management, delegation, assigning roles and being flexible, the budget, cost, how we got that, deciding the theme, so everything on how this rollout party evolved. Next, we will be talking about planning the rollout event, the implementation of the rollout event, lessons learned, which when we got into the middle of this, we learned a lot this year, so I hope we can share some of those, and you can learn from our rollout event. Next is going to be follow-up and family implementation, major messages, and then we will end our webinar with questions and discussions. So there we are, Heather, Kristen, Nikki, and Robin.
Okay, so the next slide is our learning objectives. So you guys will be seeing how we got the process rolling. You guys will see how we first came up with the idea via the Denver conference, and how we moved into discussions with our leadership team and then established a subcommittee for the rollout party. And then you will see how then we were each delegated certain things that our classroom is going to be working on for the rollout. And last, you will see what our lessons learned were and what we can work on for next year.
And this is Heather, everyone, so I'm glad that you guys are all joining us this afternoon on a holiday for some of you. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history, so I want you guys to know that Norwood and Primetime have been implementing the Pyramid Plus approach for the last 5 years. We spent some of the first couple years just learning it ourselves, and the staff buy-in, the parent buy-in, and then after that really implementing our leadership team and then starting our rollouts. We have done 3 rollouts. This is our 3rd year. The first year we did all aboard, and we were able to purchase conductor hats and train whistles and really go out with the train theme. In that, we had different stations, so each classroom was did their own part as far as the station, and a couple that I can think of right now were Filler Up Station, and that was how to reframe a negative into a positive. And then we also had an Expectation Station, and that was teaching parents that what our expectations were here, and what they could do or create their own at home. For feedback for parents, we did a station, which that's where I was at, and it was Toot Your Own Horn. So what did they learn? What did they go home with? What are areas of improvement for the year after that? The second year, we kept it pretty simple. And we did Tucker Turtle. So, again, the expectations, and we, really just worked around the idea of Tucker Turtle in the classroom and at home. And we, Virginia Kyle even purchased a large blow-up turtle, and we have that in our hallway actually hanging from the ceiling. So that's just a reminder for all of us teachers and parents, and even the kids will look at it, every morning, that's Tucker Turtle, and they'll go on, we have to keep our friends safe, and so it's just a good reminder. It's a good purchase. This year, we did how to be a bucket filler, and what we did differently this year was, instead of having individual classrooms work on different aspects of the theme, we all worked together, and we purchased books, and buckets were donated, and each classroom filled something, if it was like a candy with a note on it, a positive note on it, or a star that says, thank you for coming. But we ended up filling the buckets, and then whoever came at the end of our skit that the kids did, which you guys will get to see later in this presentation, the kids went out and gave their parents a bucket. So it was nice to see. Actually, we had a pretty good turnout, the most in the past 3 years. So if you guys want to have a successful rollout, have a skit with your kids. Next. Oh, you guys are looking at some pictures of just past rollout parties. The first one, Johanna's pointing at the very bottom of the All Aboard rollout ticket. That was part of our invitation for the first year. We just wanted to kind of go with that theme of a train. And then there's a couple activities like the no yelling and please use your inside voice. That was from the toddler room that they used on the second year, and what the teachers did is they made their own props or things for parents to take home, so it was really cost effective. Household rules, I think that was also from the first year, and that was in Miss Robbins' classroom, and the expectations. So that's what that is. And then Nikki did a solution ring for all the families. So the parents got to pick and choose, what solution they thought would work at home and make their own solution ring and then take it home. And then this year we used, I guess that's from last year. We did bucket fillers, and then we also used some of that supply or product for this year's rollout party. Next is planning. When you're doing a rollout party, it does take a lot of planning. We all met, formally and informally, whether it was outside or after school or, during planning on Fridays. We would, come in and talk and try and figure out, what do we really want parents to grasp? What are our goals? Objectives for this rollout party. So we, again, like I said, what do we want parents to perceive, and what do we want this message as a rollout party to be? So we set goals, whether they were individual and some were as a group, and usually they were to be met by the next time we met, which was either that following Friday or, during our leadership meeting. To keep this in mind, we've been planning this since our September leadership meeting. So it's definitely time. With planning, and speaking of time, just keeping that in mind, time management. Am I making this too complicated? Am I overseeing something? What can I do to help someone else out? Really just keep it simple. Along with planning, it's setting the date, what day of the week works best for parents, what time. The theme is really huge, location, and, making a list of materials that were needed. Funding is a huge piece, obviously, because, you're going to have to we want to feed parents and make sure that they get something to take home, so that's definitely a huge piece. And collaborating with Andrea, who's a grant writer here at Primetime, and she's the money maker. She makes it happen. And with funding, I guess I'm just a huge believer in asking, and the worst thing they're going to say is no. With planning, we wanted to do the bucket filling this year, and Nikki and Kristen went to a conference in Denver last spring, and that's where we came up with a theme of how to fill a bucket, or bucket filling. And after our first leadership meeting, I said, well, I'll just give the publisher of Have You Filled a Bucket Today the book and see if they'll donate some books, or maybe half off. And sure enough, we got 60 books for 50% off. So just asking. And the lady who I talked to actually called me and, said, we appreciate, what you guys are doing and the word you guys are trying to spread, and she thought, it was really awesome. So it was definitely a bucket filler for us. And, obviously we have to let parents know, inform them. So, I try to email an invitation. I print off create invitations through VistaPrint and then mail those, through the mail, and then that way they get 2 forms of invitations so that they know. Another part of that is, do we just want this to be just our families, which is huge, but let's expand it. Let's, kind of include that community piece. So the kindergarten teacher, the first grade teacher, the superintendent, the principal, the local newspaper, any other surrounding centers. Virginia Kyle also invited Paradox, so that was great for them to come out our way, which is about an hour. But that was nice, that she went out and spread the word like that. And again, time management and delegating tasks. I'm not too big on delegating because I guess I never say no, and I like to make sure, not that it gets done, but I would rather do it, but I'm starting to learn that I need to delegate because one person can't do it all, and when you have a team working together, you get more accomplished, and it's more a team-like effort, and it's more creative. So, yeah. Here's just quite a bit of just some meeting notes. These were made up, actually compiled together after our first meeting as a subcommittee, and our main focus was around, planning, answering those questions, what are our goals, setting objectives, setting goals, setting dates, but these are just some of the first ideas and decisions that needed to be made when we first met. And like I said, it's the little things, it's the little things that make it difficult, and it's the little things that make it, not so difficult. It's the little things that make it worthwhile and make it, enjoyable. As I'm being passed a chocolate wrapper, it says, enjoy the small things in life. So even the candy says it. And this is just a hard copy of our invitation that was sent out to, our community members, preschool teachers, our parents, and then that way everyone got one.
This is Robin, and I'm going to talk to you about implementation. And it starts off with collaboration with teachers, and not only with the teachers, but we have two sites within our building. We have the Primetime Early Learning Center, and then we have the Norwood District Preschool. So we're in the same building, so we only, with the teachers and the sites, we have to collaborate together. So we did multi-step planning, and formal and informal at meetings, and then a lot of times we just met outside on the playground and tried to come up with skit ideas and put everything together so all of our little pieces came together into one huge celebration of the bucket filler. Andrea at Primetime was instrumental with the funding, and then our school kitchen provided a lot of the food. So it was, once again, collaboration between the two sites. Reminders and review of roles. Just took some time to remind each other what needed to be done. Chairs need to be picked up in the other building. Who was going to be in charge of going and getting the food. So just remembering to remind and help each other, so everything when it comes that night that everybody knows who's doing what. The budget review, we went back and looked at the money that had been spent in the past years and how we could be most cost efficient. Some of the buckets were donated. Like Heather said, she asked the publisher for a half off on the book. So just have to, money's a big thing. So when you're starting to implement, remember the budget and what money you have to work with. Also, another thing to implement is the time of event, what works for families, whether it's evenings, earlier in the day, weekends. And for our center, a lot of our families work out of town, so it's later in the evening. So that's why we like to feed them, and so they don't have to go home and try to cook a dinner and then come back. So time of the event is very important. And then when we were planning, it was also brought up that if you can involve the children, you can get people to come and participate. They like to come and watch their children perform. So that's a big one too, is children always being involved in the rollout.
Okay, and this is actually Johanna. We're going to watch a video of really the end of the performance that the children did at the rollout. The video was about 15 minutes long, so I figured we would spare you, although it was really cute. They had children perform, developmentally appropriate, of course, from the infant group, the toddler group, as well as the preschool group, which was really nice for families to see all the different ages. And so basically in the video that you're going to see, the children had just presented their buckets to their parents, and we had about 45 families there. This is actually in Miss Nikki's classroom, and Sharon, infant teacher, is just sharing a message and a bit of a challenge for the families. And then unfortunately I'm in this video too, just wrapping things up, and so you'll see.
This is our 30-day challenge to all of you to become a bucket filler. So you can take it home, put it on the fridge, or maybe in your car to work, or somewhere you'll see it. Remember to try and fill someone's bucket each and every day for 30 days. There's just some good information on the back about what it is and what it's all about. Thank you guys so much.
And I just wanted to add too, the reason why we chose 30 days is because they say after 28 days of doing something repetitively, it becomes a habit. So hey, we'll see if it works. The other thing is there'll be food, dinner will be served shortly. So please stay and socialize and hang out and be social. And we're also going to have a little feedback booth if you're interested in sharing a story. If you've noticed your children acting a little different or saying some things that might be filling your bucket, if you wanted to share, and we're trying to collect some video of the experiences that are happening here at Norwood, in the parents' perspective as well as the students' perspective, and administrators, of course.
But if any family didn't get a bucket, we'll see it, so make sure that
Well, you guys better tonight. You were bucket fillers for your child. So thank you for being here.
In this photo, letting the children be the teachers, and this just shows we have a little boy sitting on his mom's lap, and he's reading through and telling her what it takes to be a bucket filler. So he is teaching his mom how to be a great bucket filler.
Okay, this is Kristen, and I was just going to talk a little bit about the format, because when we started debriefing after the party, we realized that
It could go two different ways, and it really depends what you want it to look like is how you're going to set up the rollout party. For instance, the first 2 years we did individual classrooms, and we found there were some really great things about that, but some things that we didn't necessarily like about it. The first part was that they were greeted with the exact instructions of what was going on by our director, Heather. That way we did get the feedback at the end, which we didn't get a lot of feedback because it wasn't really, the directions weren't there. But to have that individual greeting we thought was really great. The teachers really liked it because we had direct contact with each of the families. It wasn't just a whole group setting. You were able to greet them as they came in and talk to them briefly. We also liked here in our building we have an infant room, a toddler room, 2 preschool rooms, and a school-age room. And so it was nice for the families to go and visit these other classrooms that they necessarily wouldn't go to. For example, some people didn't even know our other side of the building had infants and toddlers over there. And then we also had fun door prizes. We gave away some Tucker or turtle pillow pets that were a fun little door prize. The whole center gathering, we really felt like we were a big team working together, and I thought that was kind of cool instead of just being individuals. The social time that the families and the children had together was really awesome. Not everyone's so hectic and so busy, and a lot of our families do commute, so it was nice to be able to get them together. It was really cool to look out on the playground and see all the kids from all the different classes playing together. You know, like I said, the teamwork and the collaboration, focusing on that one goal, we thought was really important. And each family went away with materials and trinkets. So instead of just a few door prizes, you know, each family was presented with something. So I think we have pros to both of them. I personally myself enjoyed seeing everyone come together because it's been a while since we've been able to do something like that.
Lessons learned.
Elect one person to direct and facilitate the event was really important in just making sure that the people had their individual roles and stayed with them, because we kind of lost track of things a few times. You know, are you getting the chairs? Am I getting the chairs? Who's getting the chairs? Who's talking to the school about food, things like that. Staying firm with the subcommittees. I think that would have helped us with those jobs, is that, you know, instead of doing it at our leadership meetings, because it would kind of go off onto a tangent, there were other people that weren't there to talk about the rollout party. So just really having that rollout party being separated from our leadership meeting.
One of the things, too, is the specific timeline of events, which was included on the invitation. Some of the parents were confused because in the past it had been like an open house from 6 to 8, and we weren't specific. So some of them missed the little skip because they were a little late, because they thought it was 2 hours and they could come and go as they wanted. So be very specific when you're on your invitations on the timeline. And then we wanted to promote our positive solutions for families, and next year I think we're going to make sure that there's a registration. We're going to talk about it, tell them what it's all about, and then have the registration available so they'll know when it is, what it's all about, and then they've signed up for it. Hopefully we'll get some more families involved with the positive solutions.
And the fine-tuning, I think, is really important, too, because we thought because we were in a classroom that everybody would be able to hear. And because I think there were so many people in there, and I think everybody was doing their best to, you know, be as quiet as possible, it was still difficult for those sitting in the back to hear. So a microphone would have been probably helpful. And then the technology hiccups, we had this awesome bucket filling song off of the learning station. You can find it on YouTube. It's called the Bucket Filler Song, and it just went perfectly with our rollout. So after we kind of wrapped up and everybody, you know, kind of said their piece, we tried to play the song as everybody started to kind of start to socialize, and you know, it kind of froze. So not everybody got to hear the whole song.
On the schedule, review your school district and your community calendar in advance. We thought we had, but there was a lot of things going on that we didn't foresee. There was junior high football, junior high volleyball, there was town meetings going on. So just maybe when you're scheduling, go through your school calendar and your community calendar in advance. And then another thing that we follow up with the local newspaper and make sure that we have coverage so we can celebrate our rollout with the whole community. So contact the local newspaper. And then lessons learned also was inviting the other centers who are or are interested in implementing Pyramid. We got a lot of feedback that they really appreciated coming up and seeing what a rollout party looked like. So inviting other centers to be a part of it. And it was helpful. We debriefed the day after, so it was still fresh in our minds.
This kind of comes from Keep It Simple. It's just that the first year that we did it, we had some projects like the kids could do while we talked with the parents, and it just made it more complicated, and they weren't getting the simple little message, and that's what we wanted them to come out with, is not a bunch of different things, but just getting that one simple message.
On the follow-up is very, very important. So we just don't give parents all the information and then just kind of forget to follow up and see how they're doing with their 30-day challenge and if they've become a bucket filler over the next couple of weeks. So family feedback is very important, and we would like to next year provide a special place that we put that they can bring back their little sticky notes with their feedback on what we need to change, what worked and what didn't work. A reminder for families for their 30-day challenge, follow up with like a newsletter or a phone call, or if we see them in the community, just kind of a reminder for the families to see how they're doing. The center posts a location for the families to report what they've tried. A central location that is visible for parents to share and families, so they all know where it's going to be and what it looks like, so they can post their feedback. And then presenting information to foundations, school board, early childhood councils, and the community events. So in our case, we've taken our challenge beyond the center. So we had someone come in and say, this is going to be our church's sermon for the next week, being a bucket filler and how to be a bucket filler, and taking it to the school board and presenting there. So the terminology is all around the community, not just in the center or in the school, but it's a whole community-wide effort. And this is last year's feedback. Look at what we've been up to, kind of shared with the families, some of the things through the year, what we've done, and then some family feedback on the little Post-it notes.
Okay, this is Johanna again, and let's hope for the best. This is a video clip. It's only 38 seconds long from a parent from last week's rollout party.
Okay. Hi. My name is Jessica. My daughter Holly goes to preschool here, and I've been really impressed. She's only been in here for about a month on what she's brought home from school, and we've been talking about filling our buckets and talking back and forth and how I can fill her bucket and how she can fill my bucket. And I've been really impressed with the teachers here, and you can tell that this isn't just a job for them, that it's something that they absolutely care about, and they put their whole soul into it. And I'm glad to have teachers like that are teaching my daughter how to care, and because they care.
Perfect. Okay, and so the 30-day challenge, what it is, every parent in their little bucket, along with their book and all their little goodies, got one of those, what you see there, a 30-day challenge card. And basically what it does is to challenge parents and families to fill somebody's bucket once a day for 30 days. And on the front side is, you know, the little rectangles, and then each day you put a star. On the back is, you know, what it is, what the 30-day challenge is, you know, what is a bucket, being a bucket filler, and what is a bucket filler, and what is a bucket dipper. And, you know, it's just really simple. They could put it on their fridge, and the staff here at both sites have been already doing this challenge, and you know, a lot of us, you know, do it through our day already. So for some of us, you know, we're using this challenge like at home, you know, with our families, and so it could be, you know, anywhere. And some people are using it out in the community. So it's just getting it out there to our families here in school, and then spreading it out into our community.
And the little picture with the little girl, it's just a reminder to parents as they come in the center. And at the end of each day, ask yourself, did I fill a bucket today? So that's one way that we're reminding parents and following up. It's right outside the front door, so they have to come and go. Every time they come and go, they see it. So the major message that we hope that we gave to you today for our rollout party, it's the little things. Keep it simple. Let the children do the teaching. Provide an opportunity for families to socialize, and spread the challenge is the major message that we hope we put out for you today.
Okay, this is Johanna, and if you have any questions, you can unmute your phone and or want to share any positive experiences from your rollout parties. Okay, while you guys think of questions, I'm going to prompt my friend Robin to share a very special story that occurred on Friday after rollout party, which was Thursday evening. If you don't mind sharing, Robin.
It was Friday morning, and I have a great-grandmother that's taking care of her 3 great-grandsons, and I have 2 of them in my classroom. And on Friday morning, she called, and I could tell in her voice it was a little crackly, and she was a little teary-eyed when I was talking to her, and she said she had just a really bad day. She said, I've been crying, I've been really grumpy, and she said, so I didn't want the boys to see me, so I went into the bathroom, and the little one, which is only 3, came in and said, Mima, you know, I can see that you're feeling so sad and you're crying. And in Miss Robin and Miss Kelly's class, we use our gentle touches. And she said then he took his little hand and gave her gentle touches and said, you know, I hope this makes you feel better. And she just wanted to share that with me of what they're learning on empathy and how to make somebody feel good. So I told her that that had filled my bucket, and thank you for that, for sharing that with me.
Thanks, Robin.
Hey, it's Phil in Denver.
Hi, Phil. Hi.
Hey, I love this 30-day challenge idea, and I was just wondering about kind of continuing that, and something that came to mind that would be pretty low cost is maybe having kids occasionally, once or twice a month or something, as an art project, do a bucket and take it home. And that just be the cue for the parents to continue that.
Great idea. That's a good idea. Thank you.
And going back to the 30-day challenge, if I can have put Johanna on the spot, why we came up with the 30-day challenge, some of the research, Johanna, that says if you change your behavior for 28 days and it becomes a habit. If you could share that with our all of our viewers.
Well, it's just, I've been geeking out lately and listening to TED television a lot, and there was one like 9-minute presentation around changing behavior or creating a habit. And there's some research around that says, if you do something consistent, and obviously it's, as we all know, if you're being reinforced by doing for an average of 28 days, that you're most likely to continue the behavior. And so when we were planning the leadership team, at the leadership team meeting around the rollout party, the 30-day challenge, kind of all started thinking about it at one point, and we kind of, I think we've got a lot carried away. We've actually have thought about starting and taking this on the road a little bit too. So just want you to know that if you're participating in this call, we're also challenging you for the 30-day challenge. So hopefully we continue. Norwood staff, there's a question from Penny in Creative Options. How did you fund the food costs and little blankets?
Andrea had written a grant, that was geared towards, coaching and, our rollout party. So, and I can't remember who that was from. And then Virginia Kyle donated some buckets, and I donated some buckets, and Andrea donated some buckets, and Robin donated some buckets. So some of that, the buckets, were, just donations from the teachers.
And those you could usually find like at dollar stores or Target, like in the bargain section for like 50 cents or $1.
$1.
So that's really cool.
The food, working with the school, they definitely give us a discounted price on the food that they prepare for us. So that's nice that there is that collaboration with the school district.
And some of our fundraising activities go in to help our rollout party also, our fundraisers that we do throughout the year.
I think because it is a social, emotional, targeted event, a lot of funders are willing to fund that.
Heather, this is Johanna. I was wondering, isn't it true that you wrote a mini grant and received money from Walmart?
I did for last year, and that was, for the little bit of supplies that we needed and for food. So yes. So that's always an option. We're an hour away from the closest Walmart, but yet they'll still fund, they fund us that one year, and I'm sure that they would continue to fund us, in the next years to come.
Well, I think what Heather said too is, it never hurts to ask. So just ask and be amazed how generous people can be.
This is Nikki, and sometimes I have parents even just come out and ask if there's anything extra that we need for the classroom or for any party or anything that we're doing, and if there ever is, then to let them know. I haven't yet done that, but there's sometimes parents will even pitch in a little bit more, which is really generous.
Hey, Steve. Ben from Creative Options. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
The idea of like one major topic, I think that was brilliant. So you just have like one major piece of the pyramid that you're selling that year. I think that's a really clever idea, and it'll actually, you know, be more useful for parents to have that one strategy under their belt.
Thank you.
And
this is a lot of fun this year to get everybody together. And, you know, it seems like we do work together when we do, you know, when we have it individually in our classrooms. But this was a lot of fun because it brought both centers, parents together and teachers, and it was a lot of fun.
And this is Patty at Beth Swan.
Hi, Patty.
Hey, I just want to congratulate the folks at Norwood for your efforts and for being so brave as to step up and do the first one.
Thank you. You just filled our bucket, Patty. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have another question. It's Penny. And on your pyramid leadership team, do you have parent representation, and were they involved in this whole piece that you just did?
We do have parent involvement on our leadership team. The night, actually the day of our leadership team, sorry if you guys hear any ruckus, there's a wasp in our office. The day of our leadership team, our parent's kid got sick, so she was not able to attend, but she is also our kindergarten teacher, and she really sees, how different, I don't want to say different, but as far as, what our kids know as far as feelings and, friendship skills and how do you get a teacher's attention. She's starting to see those skills in her classroom from the kids, that we've had. We also have another parent who's involved on our leadership team. And her son was in our school-age classroom, and she is, she comes to almost every leadership meeting, and she also has taken the Positive Solution for Family classes too.
Well, I would like to congratulate Norwood Primetime Early Learning Center for a fantastic webinar with minor technology glitches, which wasn't their responsibility. That was on me. I think you guys did fantastic. And way to go for being the first one out.